So the Brazilians are supposed to be the architects of football, the ones who can create magic with nothing more than a piece of leather. However, not all of them can end up at Barcelona or command 200 million transfer fees, no matter how crazy that is. Let's take a look at a combined 11 of Brazilian footballers who have flopped in the Premier League. Julio Cesar. Everything about Julio Cesar's switch to QPR in the summer of 2012 seemed odd, mainly because he was signing for QPR. 2 years earlier, the Brazilian goalkeeper had helped Inter Milan to an unprecedented treble, won the UEFA Club Goalkeeper of the Year award, and represented Brazil at the 2010 World Cup. Arriving in England, he entered a disharmonious dressing room, full of players more interested in their paychecks than the ones who paid it. New signing Rob Green had shipped 5 goals in his debut, so when Hughes brought in Cesar, he must have thought he was acquiring a world-class goalkeeper. No, the Brazilian made 24 appearances all season, looked shaky as anything, and the club slipped into the second tier without so much as a whimper. Maicon. Another member of the ferocious Inter Milan side of 2010, Maicon arrived in England 2 years later, with Man City picking him up on a free transfer. However, as we all know, the Brazilian's career was chewed up and spat out on the San Siro turf by a certain Welshman with flappy ears almost 2 seasons prior. Often hailed as the greatest right back on the planet, the Brazilian, who was capped 76 times for his country, made it onto the pitch just 13 times for Man City, looking slow, sluggish, and thoroughly incapable of wresting the jersey from Pablo Zabaleta's back. Caçapa. When Newcastle United finally got shot of Titus Bramble in the summer of 2007, the Geordies must have been throwing parties all across the coast of Whitley Bay. With the arrival of Sam Allardyce, their defensive horror shows were surely a thing of the past. And then Caçapa showed up. The former Lyon centre-half arrived on a free transfer and became the 1000th player to represent the Magpies in a competitive match. He was also one of the worst. A significant highlight of his disastrous 2-year spell at the club was being substituted against Portsmouth after 18 minutes, with the Geordies having already conceded 3. Roque Jr. You would think a centre-back who has won a World Cup should at least have the basics of defending memorised. When Roque Jr. arrived at Leeds United during the 03-04 season, on loan from AC Milan, it was a move met with excitement. The afro-haired defender responded by getting sent off in his home debut, and would go on to make 7 appearances for the club. Leeds conceded 24 times in those games. When you manage to make Michael Dubry look like Sol Campbell, you know you've achieved something special. Andre Santos. Look away now, Arsenal fans, you do not want to be reminded of this abomination at left back. To be fair, Andre Santos did arrive at the Emirates Stadium with a reputation. He was a Brazilian international, was part of the South American Revolution of Fenerbahce, but in England he looked like he'd been reading from the Jimmy Traore manual of how to defend like an injured goat. Arriving in August 2011 for £5 million, he spent 2 absent-minded years at the club, making 23 league appearances in total. He also came under fire for swapping shirts at halftime with none other than Robin van Persie, with the Gunners 1-0 down at Old Trafford. Not the sharpest tool in the box. Paulinho. I don't know how this man has somehow managed to manoeuvre a move to Barcelona. Would someone please like to explain this one to me? Paulinho arrived to Tottenham for a club record £17 million in July 2013, as Daniel Levy chucked money at anyone he could find so as to forget the pain of losing Gareth Bale. Like so many others that arrived that summer, the Brazilian did not live up to expectations, failing to have any sort of impact on the Premier League during his 2 seasons in England. Escaping to China in 2015, he has somehow managed to trick Barcelona into shelling out £35 million for him. If they were hoping he was a hybrid of Paulo Dybala and Coutinho, they'll be very much mistaken. Denilson. Denilson, possibly the straw that broke the camel's back for Thierry Henry, when he realised what calibre of player Arsene Wenger was bringing to the club to replace Patrick Vieira. To be fair, Denilson was the former youth captain of Brazil and was held in high regard at Sao Paulo. Just a shame he was about as much use as a wet dish towel during his half-decade in North London. He managed the last 5 years at the Emirates, but that's probably only because everybody forgot he was even there, making just 96 league appearances in that time and scoring a grand total of 7 goals. To many, he was the embodiment of where recruitment had begun to fail Wenger, drafting in players unsuitable to the Premier League, and rather than snuffing them out immediately, foolishly chose to keep them around for 5 trophyless years. Kleberson. No list of Brazilian flops would be complete without a visit from Kleberson, probably the most notorious of them all. A World Cup winner in 2002, he arrived at Old Trafford the following year, alongside Eric Djemba, and within 6 months people were calling Sir Alex Ferguson's sanity into question. Signing for £6.5 million after Kleberson snubbed Leeds United, he was seen as a replacement for Juan Sebastian Varane. In a sense, he was the perfect fit, a South American flop who couldn't adjust the pace of the Premier League. He made 20 appearances over 2 seasons for the club, before clawing his way out of England in 2005 and never returning. Alfonso Alves. Oh, Alfonso Alves, whatever happened to you? This is why you should not sign players off the back of a season in the Eredivisie. Quieten down Luis Suarez. The Brazilian had bagged 34 goals in 31 league games for Heerenveen during the 06-07 season, so when Middlesbrough shelled out £12.5 million for him in February 2008, it was seen as as a coup. There were highlights, including a brace against Manchester United and a hat-trick against Manchester City, but he scored 4 league goals in 31 games during his only full season at the club, a significant drop of 30 from his time in Holland. Oh, and the club were relegated too, so not really value for money, that one. Joe. When Joe was paraded around Manchester City during the summer of 2008, the fans must have been excited by the club record £80 million signing, who had been ever so prolific in Russia, and then they underwent a financial takeover the following month. A sexier Brazilian was signed, and Joe was already yesterday's fish and chip paper. He never quite recovered from this and scored once in 21 league games for the club, and 5 in 27 for Everton on loan. Julio Baptista. Jesus, what is it with Arsenal and Brazilians? Julio Baptista was one of the deadliest centre forwards in La Liga prior to his move to Arsenal, having scored 38 goals in 63 league games for Sevilla. Signed on loan from Real Madrid as part of the deal which took the homesick Jose Antonio Reyes the other way, he never settled and had to wait until November to bag his first goal. He scored just 3 times in 24 league games, although for some reason found a bizarre run of success in the League Cup, scoring 4 at Anfield while also missing a penalty, and 2 at White Hart Lane in the semi-final, while also bagging an own goal. It was a strange year for the beast. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe.